Welcome back to Strictly Sports Talk. I'm Chris. We got Joshua on my right, Christian on my left, and we are going to continue prepping for fantasy football. I know drafts will be hot and heavy. People are already drafting. I've heard several people talk about their discussions, and but yeah, this week we are going to talk about our sleeper candidates and then some people who we think might bust. We'll have a little bit of debate and hopefully it will give you some insight for drafts. And but like always, we're gonna kick it to Joshua and he's gonna go through our weekly news.
Justin Fields believes he's shown what he can do to be Steelers starting quarterback.
Justin Fields, what do we think? Fields or Russell Wilson?
Fields.
Fields?
Fields.
Fields. I'm on the fence here. I like Justin Fields. I think he's got the legs that can make things happen. He's got a strong arm. Overall, I also think sometimes he has difficulty making reads. But I also think Russell Wilson holds the ball too long, takes way too many sacks, and Fields might be the better option between the two. What else do you got, Joshua?
Panthers plan to play quarterback Bryce Young's starters in preseason finale versus Bill.
Bryce Young is going to start. I think that's good. I mean, I think he needs snaps. Obviously, we know Bryce Young had a rough season last year. I think we can all agree. I know they went out and got weapons for him. We'll talk about some of those weapons. But yeah, I mean, I think it'll be good. Snaps are good. And, hopefully they can avoid injury. What else do we got?
Commanders trade former first-round receiver Jahan Dotson to Eagles.
Jahan Dotson to the Eagles. What's your thought, Christian?
Hmm.
Kind of on the fence too. What do you think?
He's not horrible. He might be good, and he might have not been good because he might have not been on that good of a team.
I mean, I think that's it. I think Jahan Dotson's got a ton of talent. I think overall, what sways me a little bit is that the Eagles already have like a very, very deep roster. And you've got AJ Brown, you've got Devontae Smith, Goddard. They got Saquon Barkley on the running back side, and he's going to take for some receiving. So I'm trying to figure out where Dotson fits into the mix, but talented receiver adds another weapon for the Eagles, some depth. So, anything else we got on this week?
Eagles offensive tackle Lane Johnson says he realistically has 2 or 3 more seasons left.
Lane Johnson, I mean, great tackle, huge for the Eagles. They've done a good job even filling the gap with Kelsey's departure. But yeah, it's good news for the Eagles. Lane Johnson sticking around. Anything else?
Yeah. Bo Nix named the Broncos starter quarterback.
Bo Nix is the QB. What do you think about that, Joshua?
I mean, they don't really have a choice because they don't really have a quarterback since Russell Wilson left. So.
You like Bo Nix, Christian? I see the thumb
I
up.
love Bo Nix.
Love Bo Nix. I like Bo Nix too. I think he's shown good things in the preseason. Quick release quarterback in college. Obviously, I think I spoke on this before. I think that transfers well into the NFL. I mean, you don't want to hold the ball too much. So yeah, I think Bo Nix is poised. He's got good weapons, and we'll see how it goes. All right, well, let's get into it. We are gonna kick it off talking positionals, and we'll start with QBs. I'm going to read down 3. Tell me who your favorite is. We got Trevor Lawrence, Matthew Stafford, Bryce Young, Joshua. Trevor Lawrence, Stafford, and Young.
Trevor Lawrence, I think.
Stafford.
All right. Why Lawrence?
Well, I think he has the team to do well, and I think he just do better than Bryce Young and Stafford still.
All right. What's the argument for Stafford?
Yeah, I'm cooking it up, okay? So at the end of the year, when Cooper Kupp came back, they tore it up. And with Cooper Cup and Williams and Puka Nakua, I mean, I don't know who their tight end is right now, but with those three, they're gonna be better than the Jacksonville Jaguars over there.
I don't know. I think I'm rolling with Joshua on this, quite frankly. I mean, I think Bryce Young is gonna have a bigger year. I do like what they've done, and we'll talk about some of the things in a little bit. I mean, when I'm thinking about sleepers, I'm thinking about someone who's gonna do better than last year. We know Jacksonville and Trevor Lawrence, like people had high hopes that last year was gonna be his breakout year. They had brought in Ridley. Ridley had a ton of drops. Wasn't really working out for him very well. I think Trevor Lawrence over the last 7 weeks of the season was one of the best QBs in football. You go back and look at his fantasy numbers. And so, I like the weapons that they brought into Jacksonville. I think they're building off of how they ended last year, and I think Lawrence is poised. He's got good weapons. I think Gabe Davis is actually an improvement over Ridley, and so yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. Let's keep going. 3 more quarterbacks, and we're looking for sleeper candidates. So they're going to do better than what they did last year. Tua, Jaden Daniels, Kirk Cousins. Christian, I'll let you kick it off. Obviously, we got one rookie in the mix. Kirk, you think he's going to do better than what he did last year with the team that he's on? He's a sleeper candidate. Ooh. Joshua? Tua, you think he's gonna do better than me? We're gonna split the difference. I'm gonna go Jaden Daniels. I'm gonna go Jaden Daniels, and obviously better than last year. Last year was a 0 because he was not an NFL quarterback. But over these 3, I think maybe he'll have the best year from a fantasy perspective. One, he is a dual threat, so he is going to run the ball. He will get touchdowns on the run. He has good weapons, even though they just lost Dotson. He's got 2 running backs in Eckler and Brian Robinson, who can also alleviate some of the pressure. And so, yeah, I think Jaden Daniels could lead the way between the 3. Christian, Kirk Cousins. I mean, I like Kirk Cousins, don't get me wrong.
As a sports fan, I'm not a big Kirk Cousins fan because it's on the Falcons and I'm a Bucks fan, so that doesn't pan out very well. But I do like Kirk Cousins more than those 2. First of all, Jaden Daniels is a rookie quarterback, and I just don't know exactly how that's gonna pan out. But I like Kirk Cousins as a veteran with a young team and with Bijan Robinson, Drake London, and Kyle Pitts, all still very young players. And I think they'll do better with him, and I think with a good offense around him, I think he'll do better. I think he'll do better. I don't know.
All right.
I just have a feeling.
Joshua, what's the argument? What do you got for what do we say? Tua Tagovailoa? Yeah.
Well, he's on a good team. He's good, and he's gonna do good. That's
Yeah.
all I have to say.
Isn't Tua always
That's all
good?
he's got to say about that. Well, Kirk Cousins is also always good, but I mean, I like Tua. So obviously, we know Tua's got Tyreek. He's got Jalen Waddle. They've got A-Chain. They've got Mostert. They brought in more weapons. So I mean, Tua definitely has something to build on. They like speed in Miami, and he's got plenty of speed. So we'll see what happens. All right, let's move on. The next 3, we got Caleb Williams, Will Levis, and Anthony Richardson.
Caleb Williams.
Caleb Williams.
Hard.
Will Levis or Anthony Richardson?
I'm gonna go Caleb Williams too.
I'm gonna go Anthony Richardson. All right. What's the argument for Caleb Williams?
Let him cook.
It's
Let
not
him
an
cook.
argument. It's not an argument. It's not an argument.
I think he'll do good. I
Alright.
have a feeling, okay?
We can go down. I'll go down the pluses for everybody. Caleb Williams, great receiving room. Obviously, they've brought in plenty of talent around him. Got a Dunze who they got Keenan Allen, Cole Kmet,
Daniel Swift,
DJ Moore.
DeAndre Swift.
So yeah, plenty of weapons, plenty of talent around them. He is a rookie quarterback. He has been looking good in preseason. It is preseason, so we'll see how it pans out. Will Levis, obviously, started off hot last year. He can run, bit of a dual threat. They brought in Calvin Ridley, they brought in Boyd, give him more weapons to throw to. They have Tajay Spears and Tony Pollard in the backfield, so two decent running backs. We'll talk about those two here in a little bit. So I like Will Levis, but again, Ridley, if he can't get over the drops, Tyler Boyd, consistent injury concerns. So I'm not sure that his weapons are really going to pan out. We'll see how that plays. But Anthony Richardson coming off injury, he looked hot last year. I think players have emerged on that team. Josh Downs looked great last year. They obviously have other weapons, and being also a dual threat, he wants to run the ball. They have said that they're going to let him run still. It's not going to be a limitation. They're going to run their offense. So I'm expecting big things from Anthony Richardson this year. All right, let's hit up the busts. I've got Justin Herbert. We got Sean Watson and Aaron Rodgers. Who's going to be the biggest letdown?
I liked most.
Sean Watson.
Sean Watson, biggest letdown? Who do you think?
Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers. We're gonna go across the board because I'm gonna say Herbert. Christian doesn't like the Herbert fit. So why Deshaun Watson?
He's
Yeah, I
just
think-
gonna get hurt again.
I think expectations are a little low. He could get hurt again.
And yeah, as you
I
said,
mean,
That was just
low.
scary.
But
very
low
low.
expectations. They brought in weapons.
Weapons.
They brought in weapons.
But injury concerns are everywhere.
Honestly, I don't think that.
I mean,
I think Deshaun Watson's gonna
they
get
got
hurt again.
Njoku, they got Cooper.
That's the same as last year.
They brought in Denver.
Jerry Judy.
Jerry Judy. I mean, good receiver.
And it's just you want to
No,
go Denver
it
because
just-
Denver hasn't
It
had
just
a
doesn't
quarterback.
work like that.
Yeah.
No.
He has potential.
I think Watson's got some potential too, quite frankly. Aaron Rodgers. Let's talk Rodgers.
Well, first of all, the Jets don't have alignment. What happened last year was Rodgers got hurt in the first 4 snaps. So there's a 30% chance that could happen again.
30% chance. Rodgers gets hurt again.
I would take the 30.
Actually,
All right.
if he gets hurt again, that's like 95% chance.
I mean, I'm gonna say I think Rodgers is getting up there in age. Obviously, he's looked good again in the preseason. It is preseason. I don't put too much stock into it. It shows me he could play. Again, I have concerns about the Jets' offensive line. He would be my number 2 pick out of this list. I'm gonna make the argument now for Justin Herbert. Man's got a cannon for an arm. I'm not gonna take it away from him. But he lost Mike Williams. He lost all his receivers. They lost Eckler, so they lost one of the best running backs in football. They've decimated that offense. It is a complete revamp. Yes, they have Vlad McConkey. Yes, they have Josh Palmer. And Josh Palmer is one of my sleeper picks in receivers. But I don't think it replaces Keenan Allen. I don't think they have any kind of replacement between Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins, who we will also talk about in a bit, in terms of replacing Austin Eckler. It just doesn't add up to me. I feel like the offense has stepped down. They already struggled last year, so I am not picking high on Justin Herbert. And obviously Christian, within everything, disagrees.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. That's all I can say.
20 points per game.
You and your 20 points per game, man.
That's my number.
Nine.
All right, let's move on. We're gonna talk running backs. We'll follow the same platform. We have Jonathan Brooks, Jalen McLaughlin, and Rico Dowdle or Zeke Elliott. Christian?
Zeke Elliott.
Zeke Elliott, all right.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with him too.
I'm gonna take the contrary on that and go Rico Dowdle. I'm gonna pick a Dallas Cowboy still, but I think Rico Dowdle is gonna be the guy who emerges in Dallas. So we'll go quickly through Jonathan Brooks. Obviously, great 3-down back coming out of Texas, coming off an ACL. I have a little bit of concerns in that. I get it. The surgery is not as bad and recovery seems to be pretty quick. With technology and surgery, he's obviously got someone to share snaps with. I'm not sure Jonathan Brooks will think, and I think the offense is still gonna have struggles. So I'm not sure Jonathan Brooks is gonna pan out. McLaughlin, it's a committee. It's Denver still. I don't think they're gonna emerge out to be too much. Even with Bo Nix, who I like as a quarterback, don't think there's enough there for me to pick anybody in Denver, quite frankly. So yeah, that leaves Dallas. We've got an explosive offense. We have plenty of snaps coming in, and they brought in Zeke Elliott after letting Tony Pollard go. Tony Pollard was a total bust last year for Dallas. And they have Rico Dowdle. So what's the argument for Zeke Elliott?
Knows the offense. Because he was an old Dallas player still. He's the starter, most likely, on the Dallas offense. He's gonna do better than Rico Dowdle on the offense. And you know,
Anything to add?
Well, it just doesn't really, to me, make sense to pick Rico Dowdle when I feel Ezekiel Elliott will be the starting technically. So
I think it's gonna be committee. I think there's not gonna be a clear-cut starter. I almost view this as a hot hand. Zeke Elliott is gonna be a great short yardage back for Dallas. I think he's gonna play the Thunder in the committee. I think Rico Dowdle is gonna be the Lightning. I think he's gonna be the pass catching back in Dallas. I think his speed is gonna benefit him behind an offensive line that's very talented. We saw glimpses of what Rico Dowdle could do last year, and I think he's gonna build on that. I think he's gonna be the guy to pick. Khalil Herbert, Zamir White, and Trey Benson. Christian has a clear-cut favorite.
Zamir White.
Zamir White for the Raiders, all right? Zamir White for the Raiders? I want to pick Trey Benson, but I'm not going to do it yet next year. I am going to go Khalil Herbert. So, Zamir White. Why Zamir White?
A little depressed. Well, I like Zamir White. First, he's obviously gonna be starter because they have no one else to challenge him with, really. Second, I think he's gonna do better. I get it. When we saw him last year, he wasn't amazing, but I think he'll do better. I think the roster's gotten better, even though Josh Jacobs isn't there. And I will say, Josh Jacobs is a good running back. It is a loss. I will say it is a downgrade to Zamir White, but I think Zamir White could be the next Josh Jacobs to do a lot.
I think it's enough. I mean, that's what you're expecting. That's what they're hoping for, obviously. Zamir White's got some talent. You got anything to add on the Zamir White front?
well, I think he can do very good because he hasn't shown his full potential.
I would agree. I don't think he's shown his full potential. Think we've seen glimpses of what could be. Very talented running back. I'll say Trey Benson, like I said, next year. So I think Connor's got another year in him. He's getting old at 29. Trey Benson is going to see snaps behind Kyler Murray taking quarterback spot. I think Trey Benson probably has a little bit more speed, a little bit more youth, a little bit more agility to run kind of some kind of read options, to run some inventive play calls. I think you'll start to see glimpses of Trey Benson out of Florida State. Go Seminoles. And say that wearing Gators gear, but that's okay. I'm picking Khalil Herbert though. I mean, Khalil Herbert, when given the opportunity, has been able to perform. I think he's going to be the guy in Chicago this year. Yes, they have a pretty, I guess, shallow depth in their running back room, but yeah, I mean, I think Khalil Herbert is gonna explode in an offense that has more weapons, has more talent. I think he's gonna be a great receiving back for them. So I'm expecting Khalil Herbert to emerge. It'll be better because it'll mean Christian won't draft him, and I'm okay with that. All right, here we go. J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, Ray Davis for Buffalo, Tyjae Spears, or Tony Pollard.
Dang, it's a lot of options.
Well, you got two committees there with Dobbins and Edwards for the Chargers and Spears and Pollard for Tennessee. So I'm thinking if someone has a pick to emerge, or you go Ray Davis for Buffalo, who's also on the committee with Cook.
No, Ray Davis.
I think
I think he's gonna be like
I
a
think I'm gonna
third,
go.
fourth down.
I think I'm gonna go Spears.
Think you're gonna go Spears on this one. All right, I like that pick.
I mean, Ray Davis would probably be the third down back, but
I think they're gonna slot him in. I think they're gonna slot him in as the goal line.
I think I'm gonna go with Ray Davis. I think he has potential to at least get like 8 points. Good bench player.
So I'll make the argument for Ray Davis, and we'll move on to Tyjae Spears. Ray Davis, a great goal line back in football.
Okay.
Buffalo, and here's the argument, had the 12th most carries inside the 5-yard line. 90, let's just say 95% of those touches went to Latavius Murray. So I think Ray Davis has the potential in seeing all of the goal line work. James Cook did not get the carries at the goal line last year. I don't think he's going to get them this year. I think that's why they drafted Ray Davis. And Ray Davis has the potential of putting up quite a bit of points. So I agree with Joshua in the fact that he could be a good bench player. He could be a, strong stash. I am picking Tyjae Spears in this as well. I think he's going to emerge in Tennessee. I think he's shown a great skill set. Christian, what else you got to add to Tyjae Spears? You're throwing a fit over there about Ray Davis. The stats back up Ray Davis as
I didn't realize
being a strong touchdown guy.
that 95% of carries go to other
Latavius-
running backs.
Latavius Murray. Nothing wrong about.
Well, I'm still gonna stick with my guy, Tyjae Spears. First of all, he's the starter. Kinda, sorta.
Committee with Pollard.
I still like Tajay better. I hope they name him the starter. First of all, because he knows the offense, and so he'll be able to adapt, and I think he'll just have a better year. And I think he'll be a good backup running back. You got a guy on bye week, you just throw him in.
I like Tyjae Spears. I think he's got a good run game. I think he's got a great pass game. I think Pollard is actually, and we'll talk about bust next, going to be one of my candidates for the bust. He showed glimpses in Dallas. I've got to admit it. That's why they gave him the starting nod when they let Zeke Elliott go. Zeke Elliott's back. Pollard did not work out. I don't foresee Pollard working out in this. I think he's a great guy when it comes to like limiting carries, 10 carries a game. His legs are fresh. He can show his athleticism, but as an every down back, I don't see Pollard in it. Yes, this is going to be a committee. I think Tajay Spears gets the bulk of that committee. And I think with the skill set, he's going to shine this year. I expect a breakout. In regards to the Chargers, we'll honorably mention Dobbins and Edwards. I don't like either one of them, quite frankly. Dobbins, I mean, I love Dobbins, quite frankly, but he has never stayed healthy.
I don't like him.
I feel bad for Dobbins. He is like an injury magnet. Gus Edwards, again, has shown glimpses, has been a great committee guy, but on that Chargers offense, I don't know if I like either one of them. So now bust. We got
Boss.
Austin Eckler, Nick Chubb, Najee Harris, and Tony Pollard. Every single one of those guys is on the committee. I did this on purpose because they are all stars in and of themselves. We have Austin Eckler on a committee with Brian Robinson. So it is age versus youth. Nick Chubb and Jerome Ford. Jerome Ford was the man last year. I think did very well. Yes, Nick Chubb is a very, very talented back coming off of injury. Najee Harris, one of the biggest backs. I think the offense that they're running in Pittsburgh is going to complement Najee Harris. But quite frankly, I think Najee has just shown himself to be kind of a bust. I mean, people had him picked last year, and Jaylen Warren was the more efficient back in Pittsburgh, and I think will continue to be the more efficient back. And we talked about Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears. Christian, seems like you want to talk. Go for it.
Chubb.
You still thinking Chubb is going to shine, huh?
Huh?
You think Chubb is going to shine, or you think he's the bust?
He's the bust.
He's the bust.
I love Chubb. Chubby choo choo. I love Chubb a lot. Great running back. It's just injuries.
You don't think he's going to come back and be the same?
Lots, and I could be wrong. He could come back and be as dominant as he used to be. But injury.
All right.
I just
Pollard. You think Pollard's the bust?
Yes. Because I think Tajay Spears might just be the starter. Or should just be the starter.
All right. I am in the bandwagon of Najee being the biggest bust. I think Jaylen Warren is going to emerge. Could be another sleeper candidate. I think Jerome Ford proves what he was last year. I think Brian Robinson and Eckler are going to be in a constant committee. I think Austin Eckler, given his age, is on his downward though, and so there will be a regression in his performance. Let's move on to receivers. All right. We have the Chargers receivers, Ladd McConkey, Josh Palmer, George Pickens for Pittsburgh, or Jackson Smith-Njigba. Joshua, what are you thinking?
Josh Palmer.
Josh Palmer?
Yeah.
All right, Christian. what are you
Josh
thinking?
Palmer.
Josh Palmer. I am gonna go Jackson Smith-Njigba, and we'll talk about it all. I am. All right, why? I like Josh Palmer though. Why? So let's go Josh Palmer. Joshua, why'd you pick Josh Palmer?
Well, the reason I picked Josh Palmer was he's probably gonna be the #1 receiver. He's good. And I think he'll at least average like 10 to 15 points per game.
All right,
Which I think is pretty good. It's like your
Christian?
second receiver, basically.
you're agreeing with Joshua?
Yes. I agree with Josh.
All right. I mean, I think Josh Palmer could be the #1. I think my argument against that is that he sees the #1 corners, and he's in a division that is highly competitive and has some good corners. So yeah, I struggle to pick Palmer. I went with Jackson Smith-Njigba. I think obviously he showed glimpses of excellence last year. Tyler Lockett is only getting older. I think he's 32 this year. So I think we're gonna start to see a changing of the guard. I think Smith-Njigba is gonna get more targets and will really start to kind of shine. I also have DK Metcalf on my bus list. We'll get there. But yeah, George Pickens saw 106 targets last year. He's gonna see 106 targets this year. It'll really just depend on efficiency and quarterback. And I don't like either one of the quarterbacks in Pittsburgh. So while I like George Pickens and think that he could be an amazing receiver, Pittsburgh needs a quarterback. Let's continue down the list. Dontavian Wicks for Green Bay. Drake London. Rashid Shaheed. Joshua, what are you looking at?
Wait, what was it?
We have Dontavian Smith for Green Bay, Drake London in Atlanta, and Rashid Shaheed for the New Orleans Saints. What do you got, Josh?
I'm gonna have to go with my enemy, Drake London.
Drake London, all right. Christian,
I'm on that bus, Josh. It
he's going Drake London.
makes me sad.
I too am going to go Drake London, although I really am high on Rashid Shaheed this year as well. I think he is definitely going to be a receiver to target. But obviously Drake London changing the guard and quarterbacks, Kirk Cousins. We've seen what Kirk Cousins can do with talented receivers. Drake London is a talented receiver. He can win the 50-50 balls. He has size on his side. He has good speed. He's got a running back that teams have to fear. Yeah, I think everything points towards Drake London having a breakout year. Anything to add?
I just feel depressed that I'm picking all my rivals today.
All right. We're gonna move on to the next three. We have out of Buffalo, Shakir or Curtis Samuel. Hollywood Brown for the Kansas City Chiefs. Or Josh Downs for Indy. Joshua?
Shakir.
Shakir. Christian? Shakir. I'm going to argue Hollywood Brown. I do like Shakir though. So let's hear the argument for Shakir. Joshua, you got an argument for Shakir?
He's fast. He's good. And he's either gonna be the number 1 or number 2 receiver, I think.
Christian, argument for Shakir.
Well, first of all, in my opinion, he is the #1 receiver in Buffalo, no matter if Curtis Samuel's there or not. Curtis Samuel is the number 3 receiver. I like Shakir. He's going to receive the most targets as a receiver on Buffalo this year. He's going to average 15 points per game, 5 targets a game, and at least a touchdown per game.
All right. So we got
Got the whole
a lot of
stash.
touchdowns going to Shakir.
Yes, we do.
I like Shakir. Great efficiency, good run up to the catch. Nothing against that. Obviously, we know Diggs is gone, Gabe Davis is gone. There are targets to be had in Buffalo. Curtis Samuel's actually dealing with injury concerns. I think he just popped up on the injury list this week. So, I mean, nothing major, but obviously that can be something that can stick around and linger. I believe it was a hamstring issue, but I could be wrong there. So yeah, I think Shakir is going to do well. I think Josh Downs in Indy is going to do well. He emerged last year, and I think ideally speaking, with Anthony Richardson a quarterback, he will be better. But I gotta go Hollywood Brown. I mean, he is signed up on Kansas City. He is a deep threat. They are talking about bringing back the deep ball. It has been something that has been missing in a sense of speed. I know they also drafted Xavier Worthy, who is going to get his fair share, but yeah, I'm thinking Holloway Brown is going to really shine. We've seen glimpses of him doing well, both in Arizona and Baltimore, but I think obviously now he's got the best quarterback he's played with in terms of passer rating, efficiency, and everything else. So I think Hollywood Brown's the way to go. Busts. I've got Metcalf, Calvin Ridley, Amari Cooper, and Keenan Allen. What are we thinking, Christian? Here,
Cooper.
Cooper.
Bust.
Cooper's the bust.
Yeah.
Cooper's the bust. All right, well, we'll go down the list. Ridley playing for Tennessee, obviously, had drop issues last year. I don't think that changes this year, quite frankly. I don't know if Calvin Ridley's on the way out. I think he's just hasn't really been able to come back after his timeout. DK Metcalf again. Offense is changing a little bit in Seattle. Another one of those things with Njigba, Lockett, and Metcalf, and I think Smith-Njigba is going to continue to emerge. I think TK is going to see a little bit of regression. Keenan Allen, again, a guy getting up there in age, incredibly efficient. I think the one thing that is against Keenan Allen, obviously Keenan Allen for the Chargers, he didn't have a lot of talents. Keenan Allen for the Bears, he is surrounded by other talents. And so in terms of producing exactly what he did last year, and Christian seems to think that this is his favorite, I think between Kmet, DJ Moore, running backs, Dunze, Keenan Allen, and if I really thought, I could probably name somebody else on that team. I think Keenan Allen's numbers are going to go down. And so in terms of his ADP and where he's probably getting drafted, I think he's probably a bust. Now we also just named Amari Cooper. Everybody is in agreement. Amari Cooper. Christian, why'd you pick Cooper?
I really want to say something. In my opinion, even though Keenan Allen won't get as many targets as other people on that team, I think his numbers will still go up a little bit. But now on to Amari Cooper. Deshaun's gonna get hurt, and the whole team's just gonna fall apart like it did last year. And it's gonna happen again and again and again, in my opinion.
All right.
It matters what happens. There's like 3 routes. So there's Deshaun getting hurt, what Christian said. There's Amari could do very well this year. And then there's Deshaun might not get hurt, but Amari Cooper might not do that well.
I'm gonna lean on option 3 there. I don't know if Deshaun's gonna get hurt, but I think everything stacks against Amari Cooper. In my opinion, he brought in Jerry Jeudy. He is 5-6 years younger than Amari Cooper. He is a strong receiver. He's gonna get targets. David Njoku emerged last year. They're going to continue probably getting Njoku targets. And so I think all of that works against Amari Cooper being a number 1 and probably works against his ADP. So I think Amari Cooper is going to be the bust. All right, tight ends. Kyle Pitts, David Njoku, Jake Ferguson for Dallas. Joshua?
Kyle
Pitts. Christian?
David Njoku.
David Njoku. I'm gonna go Kyle Pitts. So Christian, although I do like Njoku. Probably shouldn't have paired them up, but it would make the rest of this pretty open-ended. So why David Njoku?
Okay, calling it 12 points per game right now. Okay. David Njoku, as he said, is gonna get a bunch of targets. I'm counting 7 to 8 targets a game. If I don't see that, I'm gonna be upset physically and mentally. David Njoku this year will be a top 8 tight end in football. And Kyle Pitts will not be better than that.
Right. Joshua Calvitz.
They got Kirk Cousins. Yes, Drake London might get the majority of the targets, but I think Kyle Pitts can average about like 10 points a game still.
All right, I'm going to one up that. So they got Kirk Cousins. You can look at Kirk Cousins in Minnesota. You can look at Kirk Cousins in Washington. You can look at Kirk Cousins probably in college. Kirk Cousins, those tight ends. Tight ends have performed well with Kirk Cousins. In Minnesota, 28% of the target share went to tight ends. So 1 in every 4 passes, a little over 1 in every 4 passes. They're not going to be able to double team him. He will outrun most linebackers. He has the size to man up on most safeties and win the 50-50 ball. Kyle Pitts is going to emerge to what everyone thought he was when he was drafted, as high as he was drafted, with Kirk Cousins, barring any injuries. I do like David Njoku. David Njoku has similar skill sets, size, speed, athleticism, strength, all in his favor. But I am picking Kyle Pitts here on target share alone. And I've got Kyle Pitts as probably a top 5 tight end in football this year. So he will be better than top 8. All right, we are going to group the next 4. We have Brock Bowers, rookie for the Raiders. We have Trey McBride for Arizona. We have Dalton Kincaid for Buffalo. And Greg Dulcich for Denver. Christian, go ahead and kick it off.
Dalton Kincaid.
Dalton Kincaid, Joshua.
What were the first 2?
Brock Bowers, Trey McBride.
Trey McBride.
Trey McBride. All right. I think any of these could really work. I mean, I might steer against Brock Bowers, even though I think he'll be a good red zone threat. I'm gonna go with Dalton or Greg Dulcich, and we'll make an argument across the board. Tyler, Trey McBride, Joshua, Trey McBride.
Well, they've got Kyler Murray. He's a pretty good quarterback. I think Trey McBride has potential in doing well. So, yeah, I think he could average like 8, 9 points per game, maybe even 10.
I like Trey.
That's how he does.
I like Trey McBride. I think he's shown glimpses last year. I think he's going to build off of last year. There's not a lot of help in Arizona, quite frankly. They've lost a little bit of their receiving room. They're trying to rebuild. Obviously, we know they spent draft capital in the receiving room, but I think Trey McBride is going to produce. I went Greg Dulcich because, again, target share, 15% target share. Bo Nix, rookie quarterback. Rookie quarterbacks love their tight ends. I think that target share could increase. Dulcich was expected to be big last year. Wasn't in Denver, even though he had the target share. Inefficiency of the quarterback play. And so I think it's fixed with Bo Nix. Far more accurate of a quarterback than what they had last year. Dulcich gets targets and emerges. Christian, I like your pick as well. Go for Dalton Kincaid.
7 to 8 targets. Top 5 best tight end. 12 points per game. Yeah, and so that.
All right. I mean, obviously we
Don't
know
get Dalton Kincaid.
Buffalo had huge turnover in the receiving room. You lose Diggs, you lose Gabe Davis. Like we said with Shakir, there are targets to be had. Dalton Kincaid is an athletic, fast, good size, good speed. had some issues last year. I think he will overcome those issues, and produce much better. So yeah, I mean, I like Dalton Kincaid. I think arguments can be made for just about everybody. Like I said, Brock Bowers, again, new quarterback in Las Vegas. The Raiders, yeah, have had some turnover all around. I think that kind of gives me a little bit of hesitation, but Brock Bowers could obviously be a huge red zone threat for them. The target for first downs. We'll see what happens. We'll talk the busts. We'll close it out with busted tight ends. And this will be kind of a shocker. We have Cole Kmet. I listed TJ Hawkinson and Travis Kelce. Who do we like as busts? Those three. Who's going to show regression this year from where they were last year?
I'm gonna go TJ Hawkinson.
Yeah, Hawkinson. Joshua,
I'm gonna go.
you're going to go Hawkinson too? I am going to go Hawkinson as well. We'll go down the list. As always, Cole Kmet. What?
Never mind.
All right. Cole Kmet, obviously, rookie quarterback. I think that probably is a little bit in his favor, but they also have such good depth in Chicago. I think it hurts Cole Kmet. I think Caleb Williams is going to want to lean on some of his other weapons. And so, yeah, I think Kmet earned his way to the list just because of the amount of talent in a rookie quarterback. Travis Kelce, he's getting old. He's getting old. I mean, he's still performing, but eventually I think Father Time is going to catch up to the man. We'll see if he can stay healthy. I think, again, opening the field up more. Rice emerges a little bit. We have Hollywood and Xavier and deep threats. I think it just pulls away from Kelce and his ADP. But TJ Hawkinson, Joshua, I'll let you kick it off. Why is TJ Hawkinson the pick for the biggest bust?
Well, they lost Kirk Cousins. From what you said, he passes a good amount to tight end.
28%.
They're starting quarterback Sam Darnold.
All
That's not good, dude. Oh yeah.
right, Christian.
Okay.
Did Joshua miss anything?
I would say not really. That is true. Kirk Cousins is gone. 28% of 100% went to tight ends. That's like
Pretty much
5 targets out of like, I don't know. But a good game, I don't know. But I will say that I think Sam Darnold I think he'll do better than what Joshy thinks he will. He's still the worst out of these 3. But I will say I think he'll do better than what Joshy's saying because I think Sam Darnold, because I think he'll lean on Hawkinson a little bit more, and I think he'll score a little more than Josh is thinking. But I think he's going to lean more on Justin Jefferson. Jordan Addison didn't. But Justin Jefferson, and so I think Justin Jefferson's going to see a bunch more targets, and I think that's what's going to downgrade Hawkinson.
All right. Sam Darnold is not Kirk Cousins. We'll say that. I don't even think Sam Darnold was on the list to start. Obviously, they lost their rookie draft selection pretty early in preseason. So that hurt. Sam Darnold is the contingency. Not to this way, Sam Darnold is in the NFL. He's a talented player. But yeah, 28% Kirk Cousins target share is going to be downgraded. Possibly even 10 points. I agree. Addison, Jefferson, Hawkinson, they've all got injury issues, quite frankly. But Yeah, I don't think you get over the loss of Kirk Cousins. I don't think you get over the loss of the target share. I expect to go down. And that is why I picked Hawkinson as being the biggest bust from his position from last year. He will still be a good tight end. But there are probably about 10, 11 tight ends I would take before TJ Hawkinson at this point. So thank you for joining us for another week, Strictly Sports Talk. Hopefully this helped you with a little bit of strategy. If we got you before your draft, don't forget to hit that like button if you liked what you heard. Feel free to subscribe, and we wish you all the best of luck in your drafts.